So, in theory, it should be here then, because we've checked every other system here. Okay, so let's start on the outermost planet and work our way in. So we have 2181 Ubolos. Ubolos? Like the other planets in this system, 2181 Ubolos is an unknown quantity. It appears to be a hydrogen-helium gas giant surrounded by the usual complement of moons and rings. Scans reveal no detectable artificial satellites. So it seems like for whatever reason, perhaps not a lot of research, not a lot of exploration has been done here thus far in the system. Next is 2181 Aurion. This rock planet is only known from space probes, and there are no records of its exploration. It appears to have a moderate atmosphere of hydrogen and helium over its icy surface. And then we have 2181 Despoina. So it looks like all these planets are named after the number is the year in which they were discovered. And the current year is like 2185 or 2186, so very, very recently. That explains in large part the lack of information on them. Despoina, for some reason I think the I is at the very end, but it's not. This planet was only spotted recently by human space probes, and no records indicate it has been explored since. Scans indicate it is covered in an ocean of liquid water. That's kind of promising, and has a nitrogen-oxygen atmosphere. That also sounds promising. It is highly likely to have at least some photosynthetic life. Also sounds promising. Water, nitrogen-oxygen atmosphere. Atmospheric pressure is, a little bit thicker than Earth, but not crazy. 29 degrees Celsius, fairly reasonable. Gravity, somewhat Earth-like, also pretty reasonable. So that looks promising. But let's start scanning here, and in theory, it should be one of these three. And I would like to believe Reapers are not about to invade this place, because that would suggest that there is a mission here. And given how we have scanned every planet other
Signal confirmed
than you, that would suggest that it probably is Despoina. Just see if there's anything hanging out in this last corner there. Doesn't look like it. Anything right on top of the star? No. Looks like it's just this. Alright, so let's scan. Search successful! Scans reveal a faint trace of Leviathan's energy signature. Closer examination required for confirmation.
These coordinates match our trace of Leviathan.
Okay, so as I was saying before, if, theoretically speaking, you were to refine your search further by having Anne Bryson connect with the Leviathan longer, then you might eventually narrow in on this location and know right from the get-go, this is the place you need to go. We obviously didn't do that at all, which is why we had to explore all the other places to figure out where we're supposed to go. However, of course, we did find some war assets along the way, so it's not like it's worthless to go to the other locations. So, okay. Before we land here, let's just take a quick look at what the mission is all about. As a reminder, Leviathan scan locations. ED has marked possible locations for Leviathan on the galaxy map. Scan the locations and find the Leviathan. Well, we do appear to have succeeded in doing that. So, perhaps that's a little outdated at this stage. But now, let's land. Okay, so, for this mission, who would we like to take? This one, For this one, thus far, for all the Leviathan missions, our enemies have been Reapers. And generally, Reapers means you want to have people who are good against armor, because most Reapers are or at least the most difficult Reaper enemies, are armored, those being Banshees, barriers and armor, and Brutes, armor, and Ravagers, also armor. Marauders do have shields, so theoretically there might be some shields to deal with here, but for the most part I think we're probably still looking to prioritize getting rid of armor. And we've used, our team, for all the previous Leviathan missions thus far, for the most part, has been Garrus plus Javik for that reason. Great armor damage for Garrus, great damage in general. Javik still has the Typhoon, which can deal with almost any situation, and has the biotic combos to help us, so we can pair with him quite effectively. However, one thing I should note, for this specific component of the Leviathan quest line, if you have someone who you are currently in a relationship with, then you can potentially get some additional dialogue if you bring that person with you on this mission. So for that reason, we will deliberately take Tali. We said this in previous missions in which we were going up against the Reapers. Technically speaking, she is she's probably the worst when it comes to dealing with Reapers because she is primarily an anti-shields person. I mean, as we were saying, Marauders do have shields, so, if we do encounter any Marauders, then I suppose she still has a decent way to deal with them. And for, basic unarmored enemies, she has a fair bit of stun, but things like sabotage are not going to be particularly effective against, still, they're not going to mind control the Reapers, unfortunately. Otherwise, suddenly Tali's pulling a Leviathan, controlling Reapers and controlling people and other, Tali's not a Reaper. Tali's not a Leviathan, don't worry. But, alas, I think it is probably worth taking Tali for unique dialogue purposes, even if that means things are going to be perhaps a little more challenging for us. And for that reason, well, you guessed it. That probably means we ought to take Garrus as the second person. Again, you could justify Edie for her Incinerate, but if we're relying almost entirely on Edie to be an anti-Reapers person without much in the way of people to combo with her, then that's probably not the best situation for her. Javik, we obviously used with Garrus previously, and the biotic combos that we can pull off with him would be quite good against Reapers, so it's not a bad idea per se. Could consider taking him. James, also strong armor damage with his incendiary ammo and with Carnage, but he's a tanky option, so honestly, you could consider taking him if you're concerned about defenses. And then Ashley, perhaps the closest to Garrus in terms of raw damage firepower, but she has disruptor ammo rather than the armor-piercing ammo, so technically speaking, she's a little bit more of a shield specialist, but she does have Inferno Grenade, which is good against armor as well, and that is squad disruptor ammo we took rather than the individual armor-piercing ammo on Garrus, so she'd help out the rest of the team, whereas Garrus, less so. I think we're still going to take Garrus, though. No nonsense here. And, of course, is there ever a bad thing to take Garrus? No, not really. Okay, so for our weapon selection here, we did, from the previous mission, pick up the Raider, which we've not yet actually read up on. So, carried by the Batarian military's notorious Special Intervention Unit, the Raider is a semi-automatic shotgun that loads slowly but fires rapidly, with tremendous force. Short range, even for a shotgun, the Raider has a large pellet spread. Rather than eliminating recoil, its integral compensators instead make it predictable and vertical. So, it's heavy, and it's extremely inaccurate, but if you're up really close to your enemies, and you put a smart choke on it to increase the accuracy further, then it deals boatloads of damage. So, it's one of those relatively niche weapons in that if you're using it in the right circumstance, awesome. If you're not using it in the right circumstance, terrible. So it takes a very intentional use, very, in some ways, potentially trained, but just intentional use to make it effective. We won't use it ourselves, because of course it is a heavy shotgun, which we are not really looking to do when we're a power-based character. But for others, for Garrus, no need to change here, I don't think. For Tali, it's been a little while longer since we used Tali, I think. Scorpion probably remains what we're looking for from the pistol spot. Arc pistol, I think we've said previously that we don't really trust our squad mates to use the arc pistol because they're likely or unlikely to charge it up, and that's really the greatest strength of the arc pistol, so I suppose we'll stick with the Scorpion in that case. And then Crusader. We were just talking about shotguns. Do we have a better alternative? I think we did take the Claymore on her once or twice. Kind of similar to the Raider, honestly. Very low accuracy, but very high damage. And so, in the right situation, you could make a case for it, especially since Garrus is good at range. He has a sniper and has us covered from long distance, so maybe you have one specialized in that, the other squad mate specialized in the close range stuffs, which is not so much what Garrus does. But alternatively, I mean, we had her on the Crusader. Solid. That's basically a sniper shotgun of sorts. So if we want to go the range route, that could work. Get the plasma shotgun, also great, but does require charging, as does the Grawl spike thrower. Stop trying to combine those words, Lids. And but for that reason, since they are charged weapons, they're probably not going to be great at them. Raider, not sure if Tally's going to be smart enough to use that effectively. Venom, honestly, you could make the case for this. You could make a strong case for this, in fact, but although this is also technically a charged weapon. Alright. Okay, it's probably, for that reason, either Crusader or Claymore, or, yeah, Crusader or Claymore. I guess we'll go Crusader. It's probably a little more well-rounded. Just depends on, you know, how smart Tally is with the way she's using her weapon, so let's eliminate that risk to the greatest extent possible. Then in terms of powers here, and abilities, we now can spend our points on pull. I mean, it's not going to make a huge difference. But, hey, I mean, we'll go from 1.33 seconds to 1.23 seconds. 0.1 second improvement. All right. On a skill we almost never use. One more level, we'll actually get to increase the duration by another 1.6 seconds. That might be a little more significant than this, which is quite literally going to be completely unnoticeable. As for others, yeah, so it's been a little while longer since we last used Tally. She has 9 points that remain unspent. So for her, what are we thinking we ought to do next? What do we still have? Sabotage, as I said, is probably not the best fit on this mission specifically because although it does overheat weapons, still not convinced that that's going to be reason enough for us to be relying on Tally to use this in this situation. I mean, probably means it's going to be non-stop combat drone, basically. Probably want this. So it's either rockets or it's chain lightning. So there are definitely different ways you can build the drone. But I think our plan here was to go with the chain lightning because the shock and chain lightning are actually different. They don't stack. They're sort of separate abilities. One is the default attack, and one upgrades the default attack, and one is an entirely separate ability. So look, I think this one is the default ability? Yeah, I think this one is the default ability, whereas this is an entirely separate skill, and the cooldown on the attacks is separate for those two things. So combining them together with shock and chain lightning, alternating between the two of them, hopefully means that this combat drone becomes capable of stunning, ideally numerous enemies, almost indefinitely. That's the hope, at least until it loses all of its shields and dies, but that's what we're hoping we'll find there. Then we're not gonna have enough points to use Quarried Machinist or Sabotage. No further upgrades we can do there. Garrus at 3 points. I'm afraid it is probably the same situation for you. We cannot afford any upgrades here, so that is gonna have to be that. But here we go.
Cortez, what's the status on the probe we launched?
Tracking it now, Commander. I've confirmed that Leviathan's signal originates from this planet.
That's a start.
How, Anne helped us locate it. It's pretty spooky stuff.
Makes you wonder what we're going to find down there.
A Reaper killer. That's what Bryson's task force was calling it. Doesn't look like it wants to be found.
It doesn't have a choice. We're here.
Right, but then what? It plays pretty rough, and if it is a Reaper, I don't know that's the kind of help we want.
Yeah. I mean, if we're not, maybe making friends is a strong way of phrasing it, but we're looking for just some kind of, at least information on the Reapers, because we know that somehow Leviathan destroyed one of the Reapers, and so if we can figure out how they did that and apply that same information, that'd be amazing. Thanks, Tactical Rock. That I am.
Nobody says we have to be friends with it, but if this thing has the rest of the Reapers worried, then we need its help.
Commander, new readings from the probe. It's narrowed down Leviathan's location. You're not gonna like it.
Let's hear it.
There's nothing but ocean. I show a concentration of structures floating on the surface, but the probe's giving us a signal below that. Way below.
Underwater?
Looks that way. The shuttle should still be able to reach it.
that's possible.
Kodiak is spec'd to nearly 1,000 atmospheres, but I've never actually tested that.
Guess we're gonna find out.
Do we want to test that?
Status! Some kind of pulse hit us! Systems are shutting down! Brace for impact!
So much for that plan. Oh dear. Everybody fine?
Everyone all right?
My suit's intact. Maybe a few bruises under it.
How's the shuttle, Cortez?
Checking now. I'll see if I can get power restored.
Okay.
Copy that. We'll look around.
Look at all this. How many have been stranded here by that pulse?
Could be Leviathan's last line of defense.
Oh, artifacts. And other things in here, it seems? Survey data? For some monies.
Shepard, we got one of those artifacts.
Skeletal
Any idea how old
remains.
these are?
At CSEC, they always said the key to decomposition was scavengers. Without them, it's quite a while.
Might have cut off one of those things by going through the items too quickly. Datapad? Datapad log. Atten Brooks. The hull will hold. That's what they say. I'm pretty sure this is a shipwreck, so I'm pretty sure they are wrong. Whatever God watches over ESO prospectors came through for us. Despite a hell of a smack in the water landing, the MSV Monarch displaces enough air to stay afloat. We're all thankful we're alive. Captain Pratt even ordered the champagne broken out. Helps perspective, I guess. I said, how are you getting out of here? The big puzzle? What downed us in the first place? Hunshan says it wasn't lightning. It was some kind of pulse. I think that's how Cortez described it as well. A directed energy weapon seems likely, but where would it have come from? There's no radio traffic. The whole bloody ocean is silent. Tonight, the techs are going to try rerouting the power to get a good mass drop before getting the thrusters firing. If all goes well, we'll be airborne in 24 hours. Something tells me that did not happen. That's the artifact. Yeah, we've seen some of these before, and you know what? Let's break it. I just heard something. Not sound very good. Datapad? From Shen Konshan. Attempts to get airborne have failed every time. The damage done by the pulses, if you could call it damage, doesn't make physical sense. The connections aren't fried, but the Monarch's thrusters disengage. The distress beacon is likewise dead, but most of our electronics are still functioning. It doesn't seem to be a result of shielding. Without a distress beacon, we've got no chance. I hear bad things about ration supplies, and I think that's why the captain ordered us to collect rainwater and set up tents on the deck. Keeps us busy. Brooks has been talking about using the Triton's weapons to try blast fishing. I agree, but I haven't seen anything that looks like a fish. I wish I were an optimist. So remember, of course, we have some information. We're expecting to hunt down the Leviathan here, whereas other people who appear to have crash-landed here unintentionally know nothing about that. And to them, it just seems like this totally random source of energy. They have no idea where it came from or why it shot them down. Ooh, okay. Some upgrades. And the Argus, which is a new weapon for us. One that's, well, I don't think we're looking to use anytime soon. It is, it's an assault rifle. It's kind of similar to the Matic, which is, of course, the weapon that we use throughout almost the entirety of Mass Effect 2. So it's semi-automatic, I think, and so can start to fire somewhat quickly. I think it's, in some ways, it's sort of like a, you know, if you, I think it's technically higher damage than the Matic, but it might be a little bit heavier than the Matic, so a little bit hardcore, or more hardcore, if you will. It might be a little bit harder to aim as well, but we're not going to equip it ourselves because it's relatively heavy as an assault rifle and we're a power-based build, so thanks but no thanks. Good to have it, though. Good to have it at least be an option.
I recognize a few of these ships, but only from historical records. They're ancient.
Not entirely sure what we were looking at there, but sure. Another artifact. Ooh. Pure ESO samples. Okay, getting a lot of monies for what it's worth. There's another artifact. And a data pad from Dr. Chai Lin. The rations will hold us 2 days more. That's not a long time. Brooke sent a drone. Also, we have no idea how long these guys were here for. But, I'm assuming since we saw a corpse that, this happened a while ago. The rations will hold us 2 days more. Brooke sent a drone to the bottom, and it came up with bioluminescent plant life. None of it is edible. Not sure how you know that, but yeah, if there were... I suppose if there were bioluminescent plants, and even if I were starving, I would have to be probably on the verge of death to feel like it was worth trying to eat those, because something about glowing plants doesn't give the eat me vibe, you know? I warned the crew not to eat it before my tests were done, but Romero and Mullins tried it anyway. They haven't stopped vomiting, and their dehydration wastes fresh water. We sent Kunshan's team on a raft over to the wrecks. They came back with spheres, some kind of organic-based alien technology, and nothing to eat. That must be where the artifacts came from. I want to believe they'll give us some answers, but if they had helped the other ships figure out what happened, they wouldn't be here now, would they? It's getting cold. Oh, wait a second. Wait just a second. Every time someone has been controlled by the Leviathan from those artifacts, we've heard them say they felt cold and dark. That is definitely not a coincidence. That is definitely them starting to get the influence of the Leviathan on them, it would seem. So that's a little more experience. Medkit as well. Alright. Damage.
Looks like a
frightened.
damaged Atlas. Different though, and it's not flying Cerberus colors.
That's good.
And it's not taking shots at us, which is nice. Doesn't look salvageable, though.
Another data pad. Captain Abel Pratt. Ramos is our first death. He tried to throw one of the spheres overboard, and something happened. Huh? We just destroyed one not long ago. So, the fact that throwing one off caused some kind of reaction is a little alarming. It does make you wonder if maybe we ought not to shoot them. But Kunshan and maybe 3 or 4 others started beating him like madmen. I wish I was quick enough to save him. They showed no remorse, not even comprehension. It's clear I am no longer in control. I held a funeral to keep order. The crew would have been at his body like wild dogs. Compromised. He will be tethered in the water to attract scavenging animals that we will catch for food. Are you serious? Are you actually serious? One of your squad mates gets killed by their colleagues, and then rather than giving them a funeral, you decide, no, we're going to use that person's corpse as bait to try to attract fish in the water so we can get food. I mean, I suppose if you want to be a pragmatist, technically speaking, yeah, you know, if you are absolutely out of food and there's just no way you're going to survive without finding some way to get some fish, maybe that's your only solution. On the other hand, if you are feeding the remains of your squad mates to the wildlife in order to make that happen, you can't help but wonder if maybe that might affect the morale of your team enough so that they might, I don't know, say do something like attack other team members so that they don't get fed to the wildlife. Because it's almost cannibalism. Very close to it. It's like one step removed from it. Like, okay, today we're trying to feed our teammates to the wildlife so that we can catch the wildlife. Tomorrow, we're not gonna bother with the intermediary steps. We're just gonna eat Jim. Sorry, Jim. We've sealed the Tritons off. They're dangerous, especially given the crew's mental state. So this, my kingdom for a shark. Oh. So this sounds an awful lot like someone tried to destroy one of the artifacts, and the Leviathan probably doesn't like it when that happens, and so the other crew members who were under the influence of the Leviathan The Leviathan used them to attack the person who was trying to throw the artifact off into the ocean and killed that person. So that's pretty dramatic. Anything there? This is just absolutely loaded with stuffs. Checked in here. Yeah, those are Reaper-like sounds. For what it's worth, yeah, we definitely checked this though. 4 artifacts. Got that.
Look,
Thank
up
you.
there.
Oh, that's not good.
Company, Shepard.
That-
It's been right behind us. Protect the shuttle.
That looks like maybe the underside of a Reaper? And it dropped down here very quickly. Okay. I take it that probably means we're about to get some friends. They dropped in very quickly at that. Like, very, very quickly. They all spawning in from... Ah, we're getting flanked to a certain extent, at least. Okay. Tally, you could, like, say, combat... There comes the music. Combat drone those guys to try to stun them. That'd be great. We did Singularity someone over there, which we did not have the time to follow up and actually detonate that Singularity, which is unfortunate.
Cortez. Situation. Swapping us apart, Commander. Hang on.
And Tally, if you have a second to also put on your defense drone, that would be nice too. Cannibal is not dead. But I don't know if we can get the angle on it. Is that gonna work? Maybe. Yes. Oh, that's a grenade. Oh. That almost caught us in a very nasty spot. Okay. There are a lot right here. Tally, you are also in a very bad spot. Where did your defense drone go, Tally? That one, theoretically, is not... Oh, it might have been over there, attacking those guys. I was going to say, it doesn't have life, it just has duration. It should have been there pretty much indefinitely. Okay, we're going to throw to try to go to these other guys as well. That's another grenade they chucked at us.
Almost there, Commander.
That's a Marauder. That's Tally. Don't worry about that. Garrus, if you could... Ooh, you don't have shields. We can do Singularity on either of you, really? So yeah, you knew it wasn't going to be this easy. It wasn't going to be a matter of us just waltzing onto the ship. There are a bunch more over to the right. I would like to finish off this Marauder. That is not the target I was looking for. Uh-oh. Can one of you guys finish off that Marauder while we deal with this guy? Shepard, if you could, like, actually use warp. Thank you. Another grenade I heard? Yes, it was. Fortunately, it was not right next to us. If it was, we might have just died. Okay. So... Like, actually, though, please get rid of this guy. Thank you. You not primed? I thought that Singularity was close enough to get you. But maybe not. These guys are way too trigger happy with their grenades. It's not close enough to hit you. Okay. Could bail Tally out a bit here. That was not a big enough AoE to slash... Was way too far away to actually hit that husk, unfortunately. Oh, that guy's dead anyway. Okay, we will re-Singularity over here then. And honestly, the husk may not have been the highest priority. Still more of these cannibals, which that just completely whiffed, I think. In theory, there are a bunch right next to each other, so we should be able to get a big explosion here. For a second, I thought that Garrus was one of the cannibals. That was a brute sound, for what it's worth. It sounded like it came from this direction. I'm thinking that enemy that we see on our mini-map in this direction may be a brute. If we can get rid of everyone who's shooting at us, then the brute becomes much less threatening because we can just hide it around. So I'm gonna try to do that, I think. Except, there it is.
Cortez, I need that bird in the air. Just a few seconds.
The brute took out Garrus. Uh-oh. That's not good. Star charts over there. It's something else we can loot, perhaps. That's also a cannibal that is hiding right around where I would like to be right now. And that brute may be coming for us very soon. See, the thing is, brutes are a great example of something that Tally is not very good at going against. Oh, there's two of them. And they're both going for Tally. Tally, you should get out of there, like, right now. What we should do is warp and cluster grenade. Take that one out, because that hit really hard. And we're going to want to do the same thing to you. This is, I think, the closest we've ever had a brute to us. So, they charge at you, which I assume we've seen previously. But, you can sidestep them. Don't try to run directly or like backwards from them, otherwise their charge will probably still reach you. But
Give us some cover fire.
that should have been a throw to detonate. There we go. Now at least the brutes are down. Means we can prioritize these guys once again in a little bit of time here. Tally, if you could fence drone so we can get Garrus up. That would be ideal. Might have been able to grab this dude. Would have been kind of nice. Okay. Cortez is on the move. We still have a few more enemies remaining here. Hannibal's kind of sort of trying to flank us. So I think the brutes may have been the biggest threat. There were two of them. It was not entirely expected. And did spawn relatively close to us. How dare you sidestep the singularity? That doesn't sound good.
Cortez is in trouble. Get to him.
Okay, one of these guys with singularity, I thought. Or not. Okay, Cortez is over there. Well, that's a grenade. That's a grenade right on Tally. Tally, if you could, like... try... Oh, that's not good. See if we can get our shields back normally. We can. Okay. No need for the defense matrix to be purged that time, at least. I know, Cortez. We're working on it. Oh, I was gonna grab him. I think it was our own singularity that prevented us from doing so. I mean, if you walk up to us, we'll do it. But now you're retreating, and Garrus is probably gonna kill you anyway. Okay, that appears to have been the last of them. Let's quickly nav.
I've got enemy contact. Under fire.
I mean, yes, but also there's money to be had. See, I understand your concern, Cortez, but the thing is that there was money to be had. Need the ammos? I don't think we do. Okay, I think
Some backup at the shuttle.
we're working on it, Cortez. I think that was the last of all the stuffs here. I assume we can't save now? No, we can't. So there was more to the battlefield. We had gone further in this direction. Alas, we did not.
Enemy contact. Under fire.
For a second I thought he was kidding, that we'd gotten rid of absolutely everyone. It's not really the case, because, yeah, there are more enemies here. So Cortez, you're not wrong. Also, mining equipment over there that we can salvage. Don't mind if I do. Don't mind if I do. Okay, maybe I do mind if I do. Maybe I secretly do mind if I do. Aiming for a different cannibal, which Garrus might have taken out. No, apparently now it's within range. There it is. Still one more, I thought I saw. There you are. Oh, I wanted... Oh, this was going to be too big to grab you anyway, I suppose.
Okay, we're clear. Nice work, Commander.
I see that.
But there's a development. We need to talk.
What? It's awfully vague. Cortez? Okay, well now we can take a moment here to take a look at what this place is like. Huge ocean. Huge wreck. Series of wrecks, really. So it does make you wonder, is that the result of all the ships that happened to, or all the spaceships, that is, that tried to land here or tried to just go in this general area and happened to have gotten pulsed down by the Leviathan? It's possible. So I think this might theoretically be the best time to loot stuff. Dare I say. So, you can do so to a certain extent at the beginning, but as you saw, after a certain amount of time, the Reapers do invade. And that interrupted our very important looting session. But we may be good now. We did get a lot of stuff in the first half, and then after crossing this into the second half here, there was, what, the pistol ultralight and a little bit of monies as well, but that may be all. This is where the pistol upgrade was, right? Yeah. Okay. Let us proceed in that case, and can we save now? We can. Okay, I think this is our first time saving on this planet. It may be. Is that Cortez? It is. It's pointing a gun at us? Cortez! Chill, dude. Oh. There is a medkit here. And there's a Hydra missile launcher. That's a heavy weapon. But one that we perhaps don't want to pick up just yet. We might want to save that until we absolutely need it. But that does maybe suggest that we're not done here yet.
Status.
Shuttle's a mess, Commander. That pulse knocked it right out of the air. We're not going anywhere.
Can the Normandy extract us?
Same thing would happen to her. And the landing won't be as pretty. I'd say Leviathan has some sort of defense system in place.
Certainly looks like it. Oh dear. Yeah, Tally.
Then we aren't getting out of here until we find it. So how do we do that?
Well, you might be able to use a mech. Looks like it's rigged for diving.
Okay. But how does diving in a mech help us get out of here?
Diving mech?
It's a Triton model. Military grade, repurposed for deep sea exploration. As long as the seawater hasn't corroded, it should be good to go.
Funny. But also, I mean, not sure we have an alternative here, so I guess if you say so.
Well, if that's what we have to do, let's get started.
Hold on a second. Are we actually considering?
First, we'll need to restore power to get that cargo door open.
How?
I guess we are.
These old Ballard-class ships are equipped with exterior power sockets. They use them for emergency repairs. We can strip the cells from the shuttle and use those for juice. Hang on, I'll get you started. Got a cell for you, Commander. Find somewhere to plug that in.
Okay, so we have a power cell, and this is actually very similar to a Mass Effect 3 multiplayer challenge, which is kind of similar to one of the other things that we saw with the drone in the previous Leviathan mission. So it's kind of cool that the ties that are drawn here. But you can see we have this power cell on our back, and we need to take it to one of these locations. Problem is, the Reapers, they aren't going to make that easy on us. And if we're slow, then you'll see that power level stable number, which is currently 0%, will start to change. So we do need to be kind of aggressive here. You just completely ignore that singularity? Not sure how or why. In multiplayer, you cannot sprint while you have the drone on, or while you have the pack on. Okay, so the power level is now 26%, which I think means that basically it's not as effective as it was before, but...
Another power cell for you, Commander.
Never a dull moment. Grab another cell, Shepard.
Okay, so we'll grab a shell. Ooh, probably should have singularity those dudes. Is the husk dead? Possibly? So I'd like to singularity you. Okay, working on it. I also definitely hear a brute. That I do. That I do. What was that, flying across? Also, hello. Ooh, we did not restock on grenades, did we? That would have been kind of nice. Okay, working on it. Okay, I see.
Got another cell here.
The longer it takes us to get there, that number goes down. It's not our pack that gets weaker. It's that the amount that we've loaded goes down. Well, that's right where I was planning to go. And, yeah, that's not a good thing. What we are witnessing right now. That's what, 2 husks, a cannibal, and a brute right in front of where we need to recharge our cell with Cortez. So, that would potentially be a situation in which we would want to get the heavy weapon to blast these guys out of here, but I'm afraid we did not yet pick it up. So, it might be worth doing that quite soon. Otherwise, the game will tap out, which might kill us. Because technically, we are not on the pause menu for that brief moment. So that made me a little nervous. But alas, I think we're probably still... Singularity will affect the husks, and it will affect the cannibal if it walks in. So I think the Singularity can technically only hold 2 enemies simultaneously. It will not affect the brute in any way. The explosion, when we follow up with a warp, will. Also, what is it with this? Our singularities are disappearing. You see that? It happened previously, and it just happened again. So, okay. Just casually sidestep the brute. Casually sidestep the brute. Can we please have a singularity that sticks? Thank you. Garrus, you are an absolute pro. Just all I would like to say about that. Okay, so let's pick up the canister. Let's take the heavy weapon. Garrus is struggling with the husk, I think. Come on. Getting very close.
Got a cell for you, Commander.
Yeah, I see that. Come on. Who did it take out? The brute took out Garrus. That's not good. But we are close. In theory, connecting on one more of these should be sufficient to take out... or to finish charging this thing up. That being said, there's a brute right on top of Garrus, and Tally is probably not far away, and Garrus was our best squad mate when it comes to... Ooh. That's the heavy weapon. Worth it. Definitely worth it. There we go. Okay, that gets Garrus back up as well.
Commander, that mech is all yours. It should still have weapons capability.
Okay, it's still weapons capability. So now we can, theoretically, either fight off these enemies on foot, or by hopping into this thing and using the weapons capabilities that it has. Technically speaking, however, if you do try to fight the remaining enemies on foot, they will continue to respawn indefinitely. So don't do that. I say that you can do it, but you really shouldn't, because it's not gonna work, is the thing. So we hop into this thing, and it is basically like an Atlas. And that it fires like this. We also have some big missiles like that. I am definitely, yep. Hearing some of these guys over here. Oh, that's Tally. Tally, no! No, Tally! Oh, that guy went down as well. Garrus, we might want to get out of there, Garrus. Both of our squad mates are down, so that's lovely. However, I would like to believe that we may have dealt with all of the brutes, which were the most difficult of the enemies. There's just a cannibal that is currently hiding from us. Yes.
Looks like we're in the clear now, Commander.
Good. I need to get in the water before they come back.
Roger that. Walk the mech back to me when you're ready to dive. I should check it over first.
Okay, but before we do that, let's hop out for a second. So yeah, we haven't spent much time raiding the Atlases, but that is theoretically something that is an option. I believe there, yeah. Oh, there we go. There's a little bit of monies to be had in this area, so just want to make sure we nab those before carrying on.